Howdy out there, everyone. Today we're going to take a quick look at this often forgotten and much maligned low-budget punk rock flick called Dudes, which I don't believe actually got a theatrical release, at least not a wide one. I believe it was released to VHS in like 1987. I actually remember renting it in the early 90s, like 91, and enjoying it. It stars John Cryer and this other gentleman here, Daniel Roebuck, who is the guy in River's Edge who seemed like the most sociopathic. He was the heavyset guy who killed his girlfriend and then just nonchalantly told everyone and then brought them back to the river's bank where he killed her, and they looked at her and then they came back again. That's a really weird movie. But he does a good job in this. But most importantly, I think John Cryer is a lot of fun in this. He made another movie around this time called, I want to say, Hiding Out, where he hides at a high school in North Carolina from people who are trying to basically collect on something, I believe. It's been so long since I've seen that film. But in any case, Dudes, what I think is really kind of cool about this movie is it's another one of those sort of 80s punk rock flicks that sits nicely alongside other movies such as Repo Man, Return of the Living Dead. It's not as good, for sure, but I think that it's a movie that is just such an odd duck, as this tagline, an almost unclassifiable oddity. Punk rock movie western ghost story. And I think that about sums it up. It's very... it's clearly a melange of genres just thrown into the blender, and it features a solid soundtrack and some good performances, actually, by Flea, of all people. He plays one of the punkers. And I believe the Daniel Roebuck character, he also was in Suburbia, which was another punk rock flick directed by the same director, who Penelope Spheeris, rather, who also did The Decline of Western Civilization and Wayne's World as well. So pretty talented female director. Not many of them out there at that time. Allison Anders was another. But I think she did a good job with this movie, but there's no denying it's a bit of a mess. And I think it relies heavily on your, I suppose, willingness to let nostalgia sort of drive the fun. But even still, I find that it's a movie that I enjoy watching, and there's some nice scenes in it. And I think, again, it largely succeeds on the shoulders of John Cryer's, I think, spirited performance. And of course, this Shout Select disc I ended up picking up for a song. It was used for like $8, and I think it's a nice transfer. It's not going to win any awards, but it certainly looks better than those VHS copies that I watched it on way back when. And it has some nice supplemental features, including some really cool new interviews with the director and some of the cast from the film, including John Cryer and Flea. I always find it interesting that Flea, he got sort of typecast playing these sort of weird bit characters. I can think of his role in Point Break, playing one of the Nazi surfers, and of course, The Big Lebowski. I believe he was one of the nihilists. He's an interesting dude, that's for sure. So on that note, I would just say, if you've not seen Dudes and you're up for something unusual with a high dose of 80s punk rock charm, then look this movie up. I think you will see, at least I hope, you will see some of the things that I see in it and find enjoyment out of it. I really do think it's almost a bit of a time capsule flick, but even still, I think that there's enough here, even without the nostalgia, to make it an enjoyable time. And it's got a great soundtrack. So on that note, that's about it for today. I hope everyone out there is well. Please do take care out there. Stay safe, be kind, and keep watching good cinema.